First comment is awesome. I don't think I'm far enough so I can drop it, but F these early morning games because holy hell, I got left with the I woke up 2 hours early for this.
I just the way it all went down, it kind of ruined my whole day.
It was
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things where like, you see like it's like that new menu at McDonald's or the new item at McDonald's or Burger King, right? So it's just like it's that new thing that like they market the shit out of that item and then you finally get time to go and get it and then you eat it and you're like obviously like you're overpaying, right? So like you're paying like $3 to $4 more for this like limited edition McRib or I would like to call it McDoosan and you eat it and it just absolutely just falls flat and you're just kind of like I got all excited for this that this is
Oh, I think I just cut out. Yeah, and see, just perfect example right now. Thunderstorms coming through. I actually didn't lose power yet, but of course my connection is going to be crap tonight. So it's just a long, dreary day. And yeah, I mean that's it. We're gonna open up the lines pretty soon. Let's just gloss over this bitch. 1-1. Red card. Chico. Nico's still gonna be injured most likely. So I mean there goes all our wingers, right? Yildiz plays as a winger. You got Bangula, but we saw what they did.
Who?
Bangula.
Who?
Bangula.
He's still here. I just kind of draw back to that because remember, Dave, I had someone sit there and tell me that a certain individual is elite, coach is elite because of what happened to him for those first 2 games, and I laughed at that comment and I told that guy, "You have to chill."
He had a great couple games.
That's what a next gen player is for. They're good for 2 or 3 games, and then that's kind of the drop off you get. But
and maybe they come around like Fajoli. He showed up really hot and then suspended.
It's ebbs and flows.
Good.
Yeah, it's ebbs and flows, right? Like it's ebbs and flows per se. German Dave says, "Get out of here! Don't cry about waking up a bit earlier of times while I have to stay up until 4 a.m. to watch The Rock do nothing."
Nobody made you do that. I heard he made it.
You watched it? You watched it live? I thought you'd catch the replay. You're on vacation. What are you doing?
Probably still up. He saw the red lights and it went from there. Sal, you joining us tonight?
It was a great ending. It was a great ending.
Sal, I hope you're joining us tonight. Yeah, he's missed a couple weeks. I'm disappointed, but he's here now.
We love Sal.
All right, let's just get through it. The passing, brutal. Or I'm reading his thing. 3:30 a.m. is brutal. Tears are flowing. Yeah, no, the passing was actually really nice. 654 passes, 93%. XG of 2.46. Total shots 21. 9 on target. When you have those numbers, 5 big chances, and then this is the kicker: 4 big chances missed. They actually beat us in that stat because they had 0 chances. So, like everything else is so good. So good.
This is the definition of when you're playing EAFC and you're up 1-0 the whole fucking game. And then they get a cheeky equalizer at the end. That's how this feels. It's like, you're playing your pro clubs, you're getting your goals, you're killing it, and all of a sudden a bit of a dink and it's an equalizer. How unbelievable. I can't believe they've done it. And that's kind of what happens. That's kind of the ebbs and flows. But I kind of want to take the referee out of the discussion here because here's because I thought about it, right? I did some inner reflections, trying to be that kind of it's fucking corny. I'm not doing that anymore. But he gave us a soft pen. We said it at halftime. I don't know much about that one because we were highly suspect of it. And then obviously, guess what happens? They get a penalty as well. So that's where that kind of begins the domino effect, right? And then even like
consistency, man. Like at the end of the day, he screwed up everything. But
consistently cheeks. I mean, to be honest with you, Dave, if we want to go about consistency, there's not really much we can complain about, right? Because he was consistently giving soft fouls.
Yeah, he was. Well, then he wasn't though. It's just it depended on a time of the game. Anyways, we were opening up the lines. I already opened up the lines. Toto's coming in. Before we get right underway and we forget, please hit that like and subscribe button. We got our first guest here on the Sunday Night Call-In Show, and it's Toto. Sal, buddy, how's it going?
What's going on, boys?
You okay? You jet lagged a little bit, red-eyed?
3:30 is brutal, man. There's no other way to put it.
I can't believe you woke up and watched it.
I have a problem.
He needs some help.
Yeah.
It was like literally what? Bad Blood ended what? 5 or 6 hours right before that?
See, the late stuff I don't mind so much because I benefit from the time change, but these espresso matches,
is that an espresso match or a Red Bull? I'm going more on the latter on that one.
Yeah.
So we had the Red Bull match on Wednesday, and we took care of it.
Yeah, seriously, it was Jesus Christ, man. I mean, it's like it's a 1-1 FC eventually, or 0-0. It's just 4, man. This one sucked because Cagliari at home, like you gotta do it. Like you have to. First 45 minutes were awesome. I'm like, okay, like I don't feel like such an idiot. And then, I don't know. I mean, he had a couple of early subs, which I was kind of questioning a little bit because it's not like the guys that he subbed are, going to be going to international break. So it's not like we have another like Champions League tie. So it couldn't have been for that. So I'm assuming it was tactical. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, even though it's not readily apparent to me why he did what he did. And then, just with Luis, like 2 games in a row with bad pens. One, the team bailed him out. This one, Dusan screwed that up for him. So a bit disappointed right now. I have high hopes for Luis, so I'm not ready to write him off after such a small sample size of games where he actually starts. And the only thing, and it took me a while to try to find a way to put a positive spin on this. The only thing I can say as far as Luis goes is the only thing that gives me a little bit of comfort. His issues are issues you can fix with good coaching, right? Yeah. It's not like, hey, he's just not good. He doesn't have the technical ability. That's obviously not the case. And that's a lot harder to coach if you just don't have like some of that innate natural talent. So, this is the stuff that he's doing. It's fixable. And I'm assuming, Malta can fix it. That's what good coaches do. He could speak to him in Portuguese, like it's his native tongue. It's not going to be anything lost in translation. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping for better days ahead in terms of that. But just the back-to-back is just shitty timing and just a shitty game and just really annoying.
It is, and I really think it's more so, and I think it is coachable because, like, for example, you're seeing the flashes of ability and capability. Like even today, like the through ball, the return through ball that Fajoli gave him had a little bit too much mustard on it, and he couldn't get to it in time. But like the 1-2, the intricacies of play is there. I think for him, it's again, you're going from Aston Villa in the Premier League to Juventus. It's a sizable jump. The other thing too, refereeing in the Premier League, extremely different from what you would get at Juve, and I think you kind of learned that today. I always have my thoughts on pens, and I think that there's a lot of softness, especially when it comes to interpretation. I don't like interpretation penalties because that was an interpretation.
That's all we're ever talking about, though.
But that's a Serie A penalty. That'll get called. That trailing leg will get called more often than not in Serie A. You can get away with it, like you said. You can get away with it in the Prem. It's got to be like clear and obvious there. But in Serie A, they will give that. He's going to have to learn that. It's going to, and his heart was in the right place. He was trying to give some, cover on the defense where usually defense is able to cover themselves. So he was trying to do the defensive part of the work, which is what Mota expects. So, like I said, right intention, wrong execution. He's going to have some time to figure that out, and then we can go from there. But still annoying. Sorry.
So many.
Technical difficulties there, guys. Here
it's okay. At least you're not showing your pistol off this time.
I'm with you there. I think it's a bit too soon to completely cast him aside, right? I think because, like, for example, if it wasn't for him, that the chance that who squatted wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Because like whether you want to like call a spade there, but like if Douglas Luiz doesn't take that shot with pace and dip, that opportunity is not there for you to get the sitter that got squandered as per usual. But that's why I think my only thing that I kind of was a little bit scared. I don't like when he does substitutions. I don't know why, especially in the middle of the park. Like for me, his substitution sometimes I just kind of sit there and it's just like, why are you doing it? Like, why are you doing it now? Like for example, Thuram and Locatelli, 62nd minute. That made no sense to me because you're putting in McKennie and Douglas Luiz. Whereas, like, you took off Koopmeyer's 46 and you put in Fajoli.
Yeah,
Because
I think the Koopmeyer one was more he was having some pain or discomfort. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? I think he was carrying that knock over from the Leipzig game, but yeah, the Locatelli one, I mean, he was playing well. He was controlling the midfield. He was controlling the flow. So, yeah, it wasn't really like for me,
Yeah, it threw me off in the sense that you could have kept Locatelli on and you would have kept McKennie. You would have shifted McKennie out for Thuram and you would have ran Locatelli, McKennie, and Fajoli, and then see how that went for a little bit. My other thing was he kept Mbangula longer on the field than he should have. I was on the watch along and I'm like, oh fuck, he's playing, and it was like the 38th minute.
There was a lot of sleepiness, not only from the people watching it today, but from all the players. And I know that's an actual thing, those early games, even though in Italy it's 12:30, but it's almost as if they didn't wake up because they're just like having lunch, finishing their morning training, having some lunch, and now all of a sudden, same time slot, they're having a game. I know they're professionals; it shouldn't matter, but this is actually a theme. We see this. We've made these excuses before, and this is why. One of the reasons why, anyways, that's the headline. Excuses. Is this just another one? We always play bad at the 12:30 match because we always do.
I don't think it's that. I think they got complacent. I think part of me is like they got because I saw it the first 45 minutes. I'm like, holy hell, they are leaving a lot of open space for us. And it's like you get the pen, they score the pen, and they're like, oh, these guys aren't going to try to attack us or do anything like that. So they got really complacent instead of looking for a second one, and then.
Well, no, some of us were looking for a second one.
One of us couldn't find it.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sal.
I think that's one of the drawbacks of having so much possession all the time. Because I think at one point in the first half we were over 80%.
Yes, we were at 90%.
Was it really?
Yeah, the first 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, the first 20.
And right. they only had like 35 touches in the first half.
Yeah,
it was bad.
If you're going to be that kind of like, I don't care whether you have 80% possession, 30% possession, whatever. A 1-0 game in Serie A, you can't get complacent at any point. That's just not how this league. That's not how this league works at all. It just takes the slightest, and they will, those chances, those sides, they'll get one or two chances, and more often than not, they'll capitalize on it. Like you can't.
Especially when you're playing a Davide Nicola coach team. That guy is the Houdini of relegation teams. Like I was listening to it on the broadcast, and they're like, Davide Nicola, he hates this rhetoric that's going on that he comes in and saves the sinking ships. I'm like, no, but he has. He's done that for like 3-4 years in a row. So like that is, and I think we mentioned it, right? Where it's like you have to be careful when you play against that guy because that guy somehow gets his teams to pull some Houdini shit. And unfortunately for us, he pulled a Houdini shit in turn.
Listen, he didn't pull anything. The only thing that was pulled was Dusan shots.
That wasn't me. I didn't say it. I just
this is from Max. I have to show it. It's FC 25 or whatever game twitching out, but it's how I feel right now. Oh my Lord.
It's four draws at this point before the second international break. Like that's going to be, and we talked about that preseason, right? Like that was our big concern. It wasn't that we were going to drop. It wasn't that we were going to lose a bunch of games. It was that we were going to tie a lot of games.
Yeah.
And,
They're still undefeated.
Yeah, and but the two teams ahead of us aren't. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah.
One of them got spanked 3-0 by Hellas Verona.
Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate David De Gea keeping us in third. Because Milan really shit the bed today. So there's that. If we're looking for a silver lining, you know what I mean. But that's just
now we have
not going to work.
And Napoli, we have both those horrible blue teams ahead of us, the ones that never shut up.
I think it's Lazio, right? Yeah, Inter and Lazio. And Lazio's been doing quite well, man. Like,
yeah, they do that though. On them. We say that every year. You got to keep an eye on Lazio, and then April happens.
Yeah, and then in between that, we have Stuttgart. So you have another UCL tie. Oh, which by the way, guys, I will be at that game. First Juve home game, first UCL game. So just checking those both off my list. My wife gave me the okay because we're doing one of those delayed honeymoons. So I always told her that we were going to go to a Juve game, and when she found out that she wouldn't have to do that if I did this, well, good.
Beauty. How many years have you delayed this one?
Like 2.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. So
I'm on 16.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam's just like Sam's just telling her, he's like, acknowledge this. Speaking of that, did you see how ripped Roman looked last night? Holy smokes.
Yoked, 6-pack, everything, man. Like
Jesus. Man,
in the gym.
That's the tribal chief for you.
Man.
But what else was I gonna say? Here's my thing, like kind of like my thoughts I had about this game is just like it irritates me because the refereeing kind of masks something. This is another game that we needed a penalty to break down a team, to open a game up.
We didn't need that. We needed a finishing touch because we broke down the defense.
We had 8 shots, I think, altogether, right? Was it like 8 shots?
8 shots, but that's the issue. Like, it's just like the penalty was the one that was the breakthrough again.
Yeah.
And we got Eddie. How's it going?
Hey, how you guys doing? Not too happy about the outcome of today's match. And we totally dominated, especially the first half. You only get a goal from a PK off of a free handoff. That was the worst part about it. This is like the first match where I've seen us play this well. We had like tons of fluidity, plenty of chances despite them parking the bus for a lot of the match. Sorry, I'm kind of sick here, but hopefully you can hear me.
So are we, Gouget. We're real sick of this bullshit.
I got the flu, so my voice. Plus, I lost it a little bit on Wednesday's match as well. Well, I just don't understand how we can't finish these matches. Aside from the Dusan one, early on we should have been up 3-0 in that first half. Coat Miners missed a couple good chances. Savona had a couple good shots. They only come off with a PK in the first half it's unacceptable. But on the right side, we're still playing good. Eventually, it's all going to click, and I got confidence everything's going to work out.
Yeah, 21 shot attempts, 9 shots on goal. Cagliari, 8 saves.
Suffolk played great. Suffolk played great. You got to give it to him. He made a lot of good saves.
That patch of grass to the right of the goalpost had more saves than the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they gave them 8 saves.
A lot of people are like harping on Luis for that penalty. Let's not forget that their shot that hit the post actually his fault as well. That was another bad defensive play by him. So we could actually lose the match.
There's a couple times where they actually did get close, and did threaten us. And I guess you can say that last time they were threatening us, and then we froze. That's what you have to do sometimes when you're those teams. Just get into the box and hope something stupid happens. That's when you don't sit on a 1-0 lead. That's why when you have a big juicy rebound with no goalkeeper in your way, you put it in the back of the frickin' net. How long are we going to avoid this? Dash, start yelling at this guy.
The problem is, right, who are we going to have for Lazio? You hope with the international break that
he should be back.
That Weah should be available, but you're most likely not going to have Nico back.
No.
I really hope Juve try to get that fucking that red card overturned, because that's just physics is a thing. Have these refs not taken physics classes? Like, they're lawyers, a small dude. They call him Chico for a reason. He is a small guy. When you're running that fast and you have a defender with their hand on you applying leverage, it's not simulation if he falls. I'm not saying you should have got the pen, but that sure as shit wasn't simulation.
No, I don't think so.
There's that. And look at the angle.
Contact.
And look at his angle, how he's running.
Yeah, he's so low. He definitely slipped. Yeah. Are you going to call a penalty on it? You don't have to.
But it's not a sim. It's not a
simulation. And it's not like you can tell by how he reacted that he just fell.
He lost his balance.
Yeah, he rolled. Diving is like this. He rolled like 3 or 4 times, and that's clear momentum. So I really, really hope. It doesn't sound like Mota during his post game. He didn't actively say like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I think they were wrong." He's also, it could be, as long as they call that all the time. Maybe that was his way, but if I was,
he didn't look at all the tapes yet either. Like, he has to sit
down. Dave, freeze that right there. See, look at that right there. Look at his hand over his shoulder.
Yeah, he's squeezing his traps.
That causes someone to fall. It causes someone to fall over.
Which is, if you fucking have VAR look at that, you'll see that angle. They didn't even do that.
The issue is, though, the reason why VAR didn't look at it is because he called it a simulation. If it was like a pen, like, for example, if it was a potential penalty, then VAR would have reviewed it, but he immediately whistled it for simulation.
But I think red cards are eligible for VAR checks.
It was a second yellow. It wasn't a straight red.
So in that case it doesn't? Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Like, I would like to read the rule book on that. Because,
so VAR can't touch yellow cards. So, like, for example, if I foul Sal, and then I proceed to follow Dave after, like, I get booked from following Sal, and then I follow Dave after, and then I get a red card because of a consecutive yellow. That's not a review. But review that.
But then how does it work? Is it only
straight reds?
But no, you're in the box. Do they only check penalties in the box?
They only check for penalties. They only check for potential penalty fouls.
When did they check if this guy's worthy to have his job? Or if the guy hired him isn't bought into it, the whole situation.
Until you get rid of the interpretations when it comes to the rules. You know, that's one thing I got to give the NFL credit for, is the NFL is just like, if the ball does this, or if you move that, it is a touchdown. If it does not do that, it is not a touchdown. Like, for example, you know, because Sal, you probably know this better than anyone, right? The whole "what the fuck's a catch" thing for like 6 years. like the Calvin Johnson rule. Like, everyone's like sitting there like, what the fuck is a catch at this point? Because like it's Calvin Johnson, Freiermuth, and all of them, where it's like you have to catch the ball, have it in your hands, take at least a step and a half, and then maintain possession of it. Like, that's where because the NFL has done instant replays for so goddamn long that they've kind of refined the whole rule making process. Where like,
the issue with it, they've done that.
Who?
They almost did it. They almost did it to the Eagles in the Super Bowl we won. They almost screwed us out the game-winning touchdown by the guy took 3 steps and puts it over the goal line, which is an automatic touchdown. Then he fumbled it as it hit the ground, it's a dead play. And they tried to come up with some rule to give Brady another Super Bowl. Luckily, it didn't work out.
Yeah, Brady can't beat NFC East teams. That's why.
Right. This is what it's like. The only thing, so at least for Serie A, and I think Prem is pretty bad with VAR too. I can't speak to the other ones because I don't watch them that much.
Europe's bad. Football's bad.
They treat every play like it's a roughing the passer call in the NFL, where you're like, is that really roughing the passer? Because he just touched him. Right? It's like the interpretation plays. Like, you leave way too much open to interpretation. And it was also like for a while with the handball. Everything was a handball for a while. Yep. Right? Everything was a handball. And then they dialed it back. So I don't understand the inconsistency with this. It drives me up a fucking wall.
Because of their freaking egos, and I've been saying this ever since they put VAR in. Look at the leagues that have been doing it for 30 years. You guys are just like pulled it out of your ass and jerking off to it now like it's a brand new sex toy. Like, fucking figure it out. Look at the guys across the pond. They know how to do it. Jeff,
Yeah.
speaking across the
Hold
pond,
up.
how you doing?
I'm doing all right, actually, but I didn't get to watch much of the game. I had to prepare for Hurricane Milton.
Well, the
But I
next
did
one.
watch the highlights. I did watch a bit of the highlights. I saw the stats, and I saw the whole Duchamp debacle. Like, that was insane. Like, you should finish those. I mean, if you can make screamers out of the game in Leipzig, you should be able to do that against Calgary. Like, you can't come in and miss those opportunities. Our team is playing well, but we need execution. And another thing is, I keep saying it, I think the Brazilian midfield curse is real. Sorry. I want Douglas Luiz to do well, but for me, I think I don't think he can handle competition nor he can handle the pressure. So there you go.
That and being in an EPL also.
Oh, hell no, Dave. Come on. Why? That's totally a clip. That's a clip.
I'll send the link.
Oh my Lord. Sorry, Eddie, go on before
No,
I get my eyes burned out.
I agree with him, but you also couple that with being in the EPL. Unless you're an all-out striker, it doesn't appear that they can adapt to Serie A. I mean, how many guys came from the EPL that the midfield that ended up playing good in Serie A? I mean, you look at like Lukaku, Tevez, all-out strikers. They have easy adaptation to Serie A, but the midfielders, for some reason, they can never play in this league.
It's not even the EPL thing. I just think Brazilian midfielders don't mesh well with Juve. That's it. I looked it up. You look at Diego from Werder Bremer back 10 years ago, and you look at Felipe Melo. It's just they can't do it. I don't know. Arthur Melo as well. Like, that's it. The only midfielder I remember from Brazil that did solid was Emerson, and that was 20 years ago. Let's say about 20 years ago. So that was another thing. I hope I'm wrong. This is one of those things I just hope I'm always wrong on. I see flair in Douglas Luiz. I see it, but he needs to put more work in, and you can't do anything else.
He was on the bench all this time for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to find out why 2 games in a row. We do hope the best for him. Maybe Monday has something, but I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's rough. There's so many things with everything that went right today that went so well. It's just these little moments. Dougie, Dusan, too much D.
Yeah.
Not the
That's the thing. There's no room for error with 1-0. You know what I mean? Like, say what you want about our boy Max. It's a skill to be able to lock down so many 1-0s. You know what I mean? Game after game. It takes a lot because, especially like I said, especially when you're controlling the pace and you have so much possession, to have to like immediately shift those last 5 minutes to trying to lock down these guys who are going to be shithousing into the box as much as humanly possible. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
I wanted to answer one comment that I saw earlier. That was he's saying, how can you do so well in the EPL, but then you do so bad in Italy? And then that's I think that's a good question. But the thing is when you're playing in the EPL, it's very free flowing. Like, a bunch of people are just running around, and there's a lot of space. So you're able to conduct through balls. You're able to play more freely. He's able to display his style. When you're in Italy, you're playing more of a low block. It's a very defensive-minded game, and you can't make much mistakes in those situations because they will capitalize on it. So Douglas can't always make those perfect through balls, or can't necessarily create the shots that he wants or play freely because they might take the ball. Whereas in England, it's more loose-ended football.
I also don't think he's. I mean, if you saw his positioning on that PK, he was probably one of the deepest players on defense outside of the goalie. So I don't know how often in the EPL you have center mids, or I don't know if you want to consider him a center defensive mid, playing that far back in the defense. because his positioning, the way he left his leg trailing, all wrong. All wrong. It's not going to work in Serie A.
No.
Well, he's probably got 5 seasons to figure it out before he lets his contract run out.
He's going to be loaned to a bunch of random clubs, only to sign extensions to get loaned again.
I don't think I still.
Well, I mean, he didn't get called up for Brazil, right?
No.
Right.
I don't think he's as bad as Arthur Melo though. I see it. Like Arthur Melo, to me, I was never impressed even with him at Barcelona. I watched the previous Brazilian, wasn't that impressive. With Douglas Luiz, I see it, but he has to continue to work on it and be more consistent. Like I don't think he's that bad. I just think he needs to be consistent. Like he has to be working. That's the thing with Brazilian players. They're not as much of hard workers. Like yes, Bremer's an exception. I get it, but like it's a hit or miss. Sometimes they just rely on their raw talent and not much on hard work.
Well, Bremer's also a defender. There's a difference between that and a midfielder.
Yeah,
the Brazilian defenders don't seem to play too bad in Serie A. It's just the midfielders, except for your Kakas and Ronaldinhos, there really haven't been that many standout players like people expected Luiz to be.
That's why I was like very skeptical about it. I remember like in the preseason predictions, they were like, "Oh, he's going to start over Locatelli," and I'm like, I don't know. Just watch. Just keep it simple. I think like Loca might improve, and I was very skeptical about that move. And it's ironic again. McKennie is starting over Douglas, and we were going to trade this guy.
This is Douglas Luiz at the barber. This is just more X humor for you.
Dave, I don't think we could show that, Dave.
It's on X, of course you can.
Not on YouTube.
That's fine.
But you know what? The thing is, too, like we're comparing him with Loca, we're comparing him with McKennie. These guys have played multiple seasons in Serie A.
I agree.
Right, and McKennie for a while got sent back to Leeds because he couldn't figure it out, and then eventually he did. So, and we were talking about before you came on, Jeff. We were, me and Dash, and they were chatting about this one. That the issues are his. It's not his technical ability, right? These are fixable issues. These are coachable issues. So you'd expect Mota to take the time, especially now because he did not get called up to Brazil. He will be staying, I'm assuming, at the Campeonato to get trained up to stop being a dipshit. So, and if not, then we'll go from there.
And another thing I wanted to add was like with this squad, I think Malta does give a lot of chances. So like you don't have any excuses. You saw Fagioli playing horrible in the beginning of August, and then we were like criticizing him, and then he still gave him chances, and he played well in Leipzig. So again, like he will give opportunities. So I see the opportunities continuously coming. As long as he's continuously working, listening, and knows what he's doing, he will be fine. But I have to take it one game at a time. That's also another thing.
We also have to understand this. So the midfield is stacked. Add Pogba in there, it's even more stacked, regardless of if he plays or not. Right now, it's easy. Like, for example, it's playing whoever's hot when it comes to the midfield. And because there's so many people hot, it's a lot easier to see when a midfielder's stinking it up right now.
She's hot.
Because of Haktua. Let me talk to you. But when you're looking at it from that perspective, like with all the midfielders that we have currently right now, firing on cylinders, striking or hitting form, when one doesn't look like he's up to snuff, it gets exasperated a lot more than it would in a normal. Like, for example, last season's midfield. If Douglas Luiz was doing the same exact thing in last season's midfield, I think we would chalk it up as, well, whatever. Everyone else is shit. So, like, let's move on from that. Where it's like now, it's just like you have everybody absolutely killing it. And then it's like he has those errors. It's just like, holy hell. Like, for example, Delight's first season, when it's like Bonucci, Chiellini, and all those other guys around him, and it's like Delight makes a small mistake, everyone's like, holy hell, that guy's trash. And then it's like when it's other seasons where it's like him and Demiral, everyone's like, oh, hey, he's not too shabby. So I think it's also from that, too, because like we've got a lot. Like our midfield is probably one of the best midfield rooms in Europe, and especially now with the addition of Paul, if arguably one of the best.
Well, he's probably the best player in Serie A once he comes back.
He's not. I don't think. Yeah, I think it's a big if. Yeah, I
don't think Paul is going to be the best. I think he will. If Paul does happen to be in the squad and we utilize him, I think it will be as a rotational piece, maybe as a joker. He hasn't played in a while, so the best bet for Paul Pogba for us, if I was Malta, was to play him in the 70th minute, 80th minute, or like in the 65th minute, and then let him play. And that would be the best bet for him because he's not going to come back till March, hypothetically, if we decide to keep him.
That's a lot of money to pay for 20 minutes a game.
Well, even if
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. My big criticism with the midfield is, I mean, I thought at this point we'd have more goals from our midfield, and that's not happening. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big reason why we're having issues scoring against these low block teams. You need goals from your midfield. I love him. He's had a couple of flubs there where he should have buried them. In my mind, I'm thinking maybe like 2 to 3. You know, we were hoping maybe Luis could put a foot, but we're getting none, and we have 4 draws because of it. I don't think if we can't address that, I think this is going to be a recurring theme throughout the season.
LJJ Chico is not a midfielder.
Yeah, we don't have any goals out of the midfield, do we? The whole season.
Not in Serie A. Not in Serie A. We have one, I think, in
McKenny. That was the only one.
LJJ Singh and Coop could have scored. You know who else could have scored?
Stop it.
Anyway, so with Coop, I think with Coop is like again, it's gonna be a process. Again, I'm not expecting this squad to be perfect. It's a lot better than my expectations, honestly. But with Coop, there's a lot of great qualities that I'm loving with Coop. I think finishing isn't one of them, but every time he's playing every game, I see him that he's close. He's getting warmer and warmer and warmer. So I do think he's going to be better. But another thing I'm noticing is that I think he would be better as playing the 8 role as Mezzala than he would play as a 10 role. Again, I'm not saying he's bad at the 10, but I think he's better at the 8. Another thing with Douglas, he's going to need to improve. And it's like I said, it's going to take a process. I don't think it's going to be perfect right off the bat. So we're going to see mistakes. Just take it one game at a time. The season's still very early.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. We also have to remember that, half these guys haven't played with each other all season. And then, we had a couple guys out injured. So every time a group of guys playing together, so we have to factor that in the equation. Fagioli just finally got into the mix again. McKenny didn't play a couple matches. Now he's back playing with Coat Miners, who never played with him before. So these guys have to get familiar with each other. And, as far as today's game goes, I do like their fluidity. They did seem like they were finally gelling together. We just have to finish. And it will come. I'm not really worried at all. So, hopefully by that Man City match, it'll all come together. I'm just kind of upset because I'm leaving for Italy next week, and I was really looking forward to seeing Conceição play, but I guess I'm going to have to wait for this match or the inter match for that to happen now.
I think I wanted to add one more thing, actually, with Malta. Like, I'm fine with the idea of interchanging players a lot, but I think there has to be a point where we need to have continuity with our starters, and we have to have identity, because we can't just constantly interchange midfielders. One day Fagioli, one day McKenny, one day Thuram, one day Locatelli. Somebody has to establish their position sooner or later. That's my only thing. We need to have.
I disagree with that. I think if you have a unit, if you have your unit, or for example your midfielders' roles essentially established, if the culture or the style of play, it should be where you interchange and you plug in and you plug one out. Because if you have it where it's dependent on an individual for the role, that individual gets suspended, or if that individual gets hurt, you're in trouble. Because for example,
that could also be said. We've been starting Coop all the time, so that's also another thing. And then the thing is also we can't always interchange players because the team chemistry is going to be out of whack.
You gotta build it.
We have to Yeah.
This
the
is a
reason-
long season, though. That's the problem. You know, we have all the international breaks, and we have half the team. You know, now obviously this time for some reason Locatelli was left off as well as Gotti, but the majority of our players play internationally. We have all the competitions. They're playing, sometimes 3 times in a span of a week, so you really can't field the same team every time.
Yeah, and Inter's doing that right now with their midfield 3. You've got essentially Aslani that comes in and does the Chanalogu role. You've got Zelensky that does the Mkhitaryan, and then you have Fratese that's doing the Barella role. They're shifting in and out. They're constantly cycling. And that's because, again, their midfield, they've already established the rules and roles that they do, but that midfield is essentially cycling out whenever they have the opportunity to. Whether, again, like, for example, Zelensky subbing in for Mkhitaryan against Torino a couple days ago, or, like, for example, Aslani subbing in for Chanalogu, or, like, for example, Fratese starting, but, like, if Barella is playing, Fratese will sub for Barella. Like, it's in and out like that. I think what Mota needs to do is Mota needs to establish the role for sure. Where it's like, for example, if it's Thuram, if it's not Thuram, it's McKennie. If it's not McKennie, it's Thuram. If it's Locatelli, if it's not Locatelli, it's Douglas Luiz. If it's not Douglas Luiz, it's Locatelli. If it's Coop Myers, great. If it's not Coop Myers, it's Fagioli. Where you're able to cycle one of those in and out, because I don't think it's physically possible for you to run, hypothetically on paper, Coop Myers, Thuram, and Douglas Luiz to start every single game. I don't think that's possible.
No, I agree with that to a degree. All I'm saying is the difference though between the Inter and Juve is that the majority of the Inter midfield have also played with each other a lot longer than this current midfield unit.
I understand. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think we need to like establish something so that like the main guys in the midfield unit have to get some continuity with each other, and that was really my only concern I had. Again, I think it will be fine. I'm very confident about this squad.
It's just the roles have to get established. That's honestly what it is. Because, like, for example, Zelensky is going to be more of your in between the lines breakthrough midfielder. Fratese is kind of like your goal scoring threat. Essentially, is your 4th scoring midfielder. And then Chanalogu and Aslani are going to be your deep lying ball facilitating midfielders. For us, we haven't clearly identified the roles and who's playing where, and that's where I kind of have the issue with Mota right now, is where he's cycling a little bit too much and he's doing different kind of things. Where I'm just kind of like, you need to establish the roles based on the skill set of what you have, and then just kind of run with it at that point. But
I think that will take some time. I think that is the thing.
I'm not concerned about it until December/January.
Yes. That was like my only concern. Like, that's it right now. But I was chatting. I was putting it on the chat a while back, like before the season. I'm like, brace yourself, because it's not going to always come easy. It's the first season, and we need to get used to playing with each other. So it's still not going to be a perfect season. So
when do we get used to playing with no defenders in front of us in an empty net?
Yeah.
Cheeky bugger.
The problem there is we can't rotate him because there's nobody to rotate him with.
Just somebody,
unless they do something in the winter. Like, I'll give him this. He's played every freaking minute. He's played every minute. We don't have a choice. Thank God he hasn't gotten hurt. Because we were really walking a fine line there.
We did technically take a few minutes for him, but then he immediately got injured because that's what he does. Yeah. I mean that's one of our excuses. Is it just that he's played so much and he has nothing left? He scored 30 games in a row and now he's like, that's it. I quit. I'm done.
It's just he does the hard things well, right? That's those 2 goals against Leipzig. Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. It takes a ton of technical ability to be able to pull that off. But the issue is you need him to have better instincts in front of the net. You need him to score those poacher goals, right? That's how he's going to be a complete number 9. He's not complete. He has great flashes. He can go on incredible runs, right? And he can add a lot of value there. But when you're playing these sides, and we're going to be playing a lot more of them than not, especially in the league, and the league's got to be a priority, right? he's gonna have to improve there, or we're gonna need to sub him in for somebody who can, like a Milik. I don't see him not scoring that.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of the situation with Fernando Torres in Chelsea year, where he missed an open net himself. I don't know. It's the inconsistency.
Torres had way more equity than this guy, though.
Obviously, I understand that. I know. But I mean, like, I'm talking about the inconsistency factor. Like, at Chelsea, he was very inconsistent.
Yeah, because he was injured. Right after he left Liverpool, he got a really nasty injury because, like, he played through it during the 2008 Euro. Because I remember it too. It was 2008 Euro, and then he got injured again, I think, before Africa. And they told him to sit out and let it fully recover because it was something with his leg and his knee, and he didn't. He like took painkillers and went through it, and then his legs were never the same since. Or it's like this guy. I mean, unless you want to still tell me that his poblagia is still bothering him after 2 years, but
no, he's just he's a living, breathing, inconsistent player. Like he's not necessarily. He's got a lot to learn. He has to do it every game. Like this is inexcusable, in my opinion. This is not an excuse. You cannot be missing these opportunities.
So from a technical standpoint, right, when I'm looking at this, it's like, okay, you're shooting it to bend it. Who are you bending it around? Because, like, for example, you look at this and it's just like, who are you getting it to whip around?
You've got no one in front of the goalkeeper. It's just like you just put it on that. You put it over him.
Look at his foot.
But look at his space. He had time to stop and run it to the goal. He didn't even have to shoot it. There's no defender around him.
No, I understand, and that's where I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, who are you bending it around? The post? Because you did that.
And I really do hate just ragging on individual players because they clearly are there and I'm not. But I mean, at one point, you just gotta like, come on, man, really. Like I was ready to cheer. I was ready. You had me going. You played with my emotions right there, bud. You didn't even hit the post.
But look at the keeper. He wasn't even positioned well. He was on his hands and knees.
The keeper was like, "What the hell just happened? How did that not go in?" I don't want to watch it anymore.
It would have been. We'd be talking about a great Luis performance with that assist than him screwing up again. Right? Those are in these kind of games where you give these provincial sides just the smallest slimmer of hope. That's it. That's all you need with this. Right? As opposed to putting your foot on their neck and being like, we're done.
I don't know what that was right there.
Just so upsetting.
Because I look at this and it's like, okay, the ball isn't coming to him that hard, and then it's like the goalie's already laying down, and then
he scores these goals where he's running towards
everyone scores those goals. Gatti would have scored that fucking goal.
I mean, you just chip it over at that point. The guy's already laying on his stomach.
Not even. He can just cut to his right because he's already gotten him committed to the dive. Like, you know, out of anything, speaking of Dahl, I love this guy because out of anything, like, I remember all the people that were there for the Leipzig game trying to troll me, and I'm just like, okay, go ahead. Watch what'll happen next. I don't see any of them here. I don't see any of them here.
It's probably for the.
I guess they're stuck in the mud. Because I came out and I said for Leipzig, I'm like, he did a great job. Phenomenal job. But it's, again, you know, whatever. You guys want to, and, you know, we're accused of running narratives, right? Where it's like, we're here when he does well, we're here when he does bad. So, like I said, I give Dahl credit, man, because Dahl glazes the guy like no tomorrow. And Dahl is here with baby oil and lube.
And
with all the ditty.
And we know how much like Dahl likes glaze as well. He loves a good old glazed donut. We found that out one time that, you know, he gets all jacked at the gym, but you throw a glazed donut in front of him, he crumbles.
It's just what irritates me too is
it's
because,
just
like, for
watching
example,
it on loop just makes me more upset.
Yeah,
here's what pisses me off about this is that, like, if he scores this, I would be literally talking about how he was smart and intelligent enough to follow the play, essentially anticipate the rebound, to do certain moments, to do like he does everything correctly, but the finish. Because, like, for example, he sees the shot, he sees the opportunity for the spill. Because this is even before. So this is when the ball gets shot. Doosan's already running into the box for the rebound. That's an intelligent play by him because he knows there's an opportunity for a rebound, and he's there. Mina's over there sitting there like, oh, Dusan there? I'm too busy crying about Cuadrado to even pay attention to where Dusan is.
He did cry a lot today.
Oh,
I hate that player with all my guts. I do not like him. I do not like that guy one bit.
And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, who are you bending it like Beckham to?
No, you can't even say. Don't even embarrass yourself saying bend him like Beckham. Like, there's a reason why we said that. He would do that like 40 feet out. This guy was 5.
Knowing Dusan, he's probably going to tell Syria to copyright that clip just because he doesn't want us doing the slander anymore. But it's just, I look at that and I'm just kind of like, good Lord, man, you did everything besides the last part right. And I'm like sitting there saying to myself, I'm like, I want to support this dude. I want to like this dude, but he makes it so fucking difficult.
So difficult.
Oh, it's so frustrating because it's like, here's where I get irritated because Mina had him in his pocket the whole game. And Mina's a bum.
Huge bum. And he was getting off on it too, the little bastard.
Like, good Lord. Yeah, you want to know his comments post game, which is why I'm pissed that Dusan didn't score this. You know, they did my friend Cuadrado. They treated him pretty poorly on his way out, so I kind of wanted to show them a thing or two.
He's not.
And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, bro, Cuadrado was dog shit. That's why he got kicked out. Like, what did they want you to do? Give him a fucking mural or something?
Even Inter got rid of him, and they loved geriatrics at that club. He's bad. Anyways, Vlad's here. Nah, not even Lukaku, aka Big Rom, would have missed that one. And you know what time it is.
You just wake up and then your heart is just pumping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so those moments are crazy.
See, that's the difference between a big beefy striker and this.
I went to upload it to the studio as well, and I saw that you already
beat you to it. Already beat you to it.
Okay.
So here's my issue though. Like, for example, Dalsing in his defense, he's got 5 and 3. You got to also take out the penalties that he didn't earn.
And I knew you were going to say that. I even told you guys this morning.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because it has to be. You have to have it with a genuine argument, right? Did he get those penalties? Was he fouled in the box because he was a threat? No. He was nowhere near them. And that's where I get irritated with it, because it's like, in Serie A, he's got, what, 2 in open play, I believe? And then 3 are penalties. Leipzig, yeah, sure, for sure, man. Like, Leipzig, he cooked. Those were great goals. But then it's like, I look at it, and it's like, again, Genoa had nothing to do with it. Yildiz was cheeky with it. Today, we got a phantom handball, and I'm going to say it's a phantom handball. Because I didn't see any touches on there, but whatever, you make do with what you got. And then again, he makes that. And then here, he has an opportunity to bury the game, put it out of reach, shanks it.
Wasn't that when Lukaku went? No, I'm thinking.
No, Lukaku was a goalkeeper for Sevilla against.
Yeah,
Inter.
that's what he ended up doing. He just gets in the way of shots.
Well, no, he did that also with Man City as well. So, like, all the big moments, he choked. Dusan's like a Serbian Lukaku, if anything. That's what you want to call him. But when he cooks, he cooks. When he doesn't, he shits the bed. That's just the type of player he is at the moment.
That's why we need goals coming from other
You need
sources,
other facets.
mostly
You need other facets.
the midfield.
Well, Coop, in all right, should have scored the past couple games.
Yeah, I mean, he was one-on-one. We had a couple of them where we were one-on-one with the keeper. And if you let these provincial sides hang around, what happened to us is going to happen more often than not.
This is barely a provincial side. This is just some
It's a relegation
island.
team.
It's just
It's
a
a relegation
goddamn
team.
island off the west coast that that we led into the league.
They are battling to not get relegated.
They were in relegation zone today, and now they're not, thanks to us. Vlad, I mean, he basically sums it up. I can't grasp my head around the fact that someone can one game hit a screamer that only 5 strikers in the world could hit, and then misses another one like today.
Again, when he cooks, he cooks. When he shits the bed, he shits the bed. That's just the way he is.
When he gets cooked, he gets cooked.
Yeah, the thing is also with Coop, I think, like I said, it's going to get warmer. It's going to take time. I hate to admit it, but give it time.
We badly need we need a backup for the striking pitch, because even with his exploits and his issues, if he gets hurt, we're in trouble.
Oh, I mean, I'm actually surprised he hasn't. This is we're getting to that point, right? Red cards, injuries.
Okay,
he just can't play every game. He can't play every game.
Did you guys think the red card on Conceição was questionable? Because I did think that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a red card. It's second yellow.
Yeah, it's questionable. Should we? Speaking of questionable.
Okay.
Paul Pogba. We got to go over it. I know it's not. Well, he was at the game, so technically it's still on point. Wait, do we care? Do we care anymore about Paul?
Well, I do. I mean, I loved him as a player. So, I mean, he's obviously not going to be the player he was. But even if he does come back and he's 75% of what he was, in his early career here, he's going to be a phenomenal player. On the other hand, back, not only because, he has a big fan base. You could get jerseys from all the bandwagon fans he has all over the world. And, who knows? You put him in like 15 minutes left. Perhaps maybe you could get a good sale for him in the end. Because, I mean, I don't think they really want him in the project full time because of that salary, unless to renegotiate.
No, it's $8 million a year plus whatever he didn't play yet. It's still a lot of money.
I think I think it's prorated right now.
Yeah,
he gets $32,000 a year or something like that right now because he's suspended. But once January hits, I believe it'll be reactivated. His full salary again.
Yeah, so they say
he'll be prorated. He'll be prorated this year, but then he's still on the books for $10 million the year after. I just don't.
Wouldn't it be split sale? Because this is his last season technically. So half of it's suspended, and then the other. No,
it's the year after. His contract runs out June 2026.
I thought it was 2025 because he signed in 2022 for a 3-year.
2026. No, it's 2026.
Oh wow!
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like 10 mil next year net. I don't see it, man.
The way I see this would be so if part of our midfield is injured and we maybe could use them for half of the season or like the remaining of the season, just for that particular remaining of the season, sure. And just use them as a sub rotational, what I was saying earlier, and then sell them in the summer. Or if we do have the full midfield unit and nobody's injured, then you can sell them to the Saudi league or wherever. You can move them. That would be my only two options, the way I see with Pogba.
As was saying that it's posted already by Romano that they're already working on the contract termination. They would have already had this figured out. And they would have known
I think I put it in the news channel on Discord.
Yeah,
if you want to.
Yeah, it's there. It's everywhere. It's definitely going to be terminated. It's just this is hypothetical, of course. Like, are we upset? Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. Yeah,
I'm ready to move on myself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the Allegri mistakes, or the Allegri Arrivabene era. That was a huge mistake. I think the 2022-2023 season, the Mercado of that season was run very mediocre. It was a very mediocre.
Yeah.
It was a very mediocre thing, except for Bremer.
Yeah, that was the only one. We brought in Di Maria. Di Maria was just there for a paycheck and to stay in shape for the World Cup. Paredes was a disaster. That was by far the worst Mercado we had in years.
Yeah, but you guys got to understand, all of that was used with Delit money.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Bremer, Kostic, Di Maria, Pogba, and all of them, that was pretty much they sold Delit and we're just like, okay, this is the only thing we have to play with. And then
I said, everything. I think everything was fine. I just think that it was It was pretty bad, and I don't think like Arriva Bene and the Cherubini era was pretty perfect either. So
No, they were terrible.
yeah, they
were terrible.
Good. Yeah, they
were terrible.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even think the Kostic deal was the worst, to be honest. Like I thought for what he was brought to do, I think that was his job. He's a one-dimensional player with crossings. The first year he did fine. He had a lot of assists. The second year he didn't do so well, and then he was not going to fit into Motta's system.
Chiesa. But like for example, even when we got him for a steal. He was one of the best players in the Bundesliga that season too. That we picked him up for what 12, 13 mil.
Yeah,
he had a very good Europa League. He had a very good Europa League too.
Yes.
Yeah, that took Frankfurt to winning that. I think Frankfurt won the whole damn thing at that point too.
Yeah, he did win it with them. Yeah.
So like that made sense, and it was like, for example, I think probably the best business is that they were able to convince Bayern to spend north of 70 million for De Ligt. I think that was probably the best thing Arriva Bene and Cherubini did. But like,
and took Yildiz.
And took Yildiz from Bayern. But the other thing too, like for example, if you look at those deals, right? Like, and this isn't me. I'm not saying it because I don't like him, but like for example, the Dusan contract is terrible. Oh yeah. Damn. Oof.
Well, there was one that like this. I mean, like this after his first penalty, and now it's just a thing. It's just a thing now because he keeps on doing it. But yeah, it's pretty harsh.
It's 2 for 2.
But like for example, I think, and Jockey Bro kind of touches it. I think the contracts they offered were terrible. Like for example, I still think the Dusan contract was one of the dumbest contracts you could have given a player at his age. Where it was progressively growing to the point where it hits 22 million a season gross. I think that's just bad business in my opinion, especially for someone at his age. With all due respect to him, the purple star, or as I like to call it, the purple patch, where you're killing it from September to December. They threw way too much on that, regardless of talent and potential. You could have been smart with it and gave him 5 or 6 million, and then you could have gone back to the renegotiation table. If he wanted it, great. Awesome, resign him. If he didn't want it, it would be easier
I think we had that situation too. We were very desperate. I think we ran on desperation, and then we also had Arsenal on our backs because they wanted to buy the player as well.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of it too, like, does he deserve to be cost? Should he have been paid at that salary? Absolutely not. But the thing was that we were also in contention with Arsenal, and I think Arriva Bene and Cherubini do not have the skills necessary to like negotiate at the level of Giuntoli, for example.
Yeah, you have to remember also this was following right after we sold Ronaldo.
Yep.
And despite knowing he was going the whole summer, we didn't even try to make a move on anyone else, and then we panic bought Keane at the end, and that just totally backfired, and we had no choice but to purchase him in January. We had nobody.
Funny thing about him is he's Fiorentina's arguably one of Fiorentina's best players right now.
Oh, he did.
Although he
missed the PK
today.
Yeah, he had an assist after though, which is wild.
Yeah, and then he hit a post. Classic Keane hit a post. So,
yeah,
he had two goals called off sides also.
Would Keane have missed that shot today?
He probably would have hit the post.
Yeah, that also.
That would have been better.
LJJ says, do you guys think Motta has asked Giuntoli about any of the players we got? I think they had conversations of profiles. So, for example, kind of to give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes of how it works at a club, right? So, like, for example, I'm a coach. Dave's the sporting director. So Dave and I are kind of like, we sit here and we have the discussion, like, what kind of football do we want to play? What kind of style do we want to employ? Different types of player characteristics and whatnot. So, like, for example, I tell Dave where I'm like, hey, I want a player who can pass, who can adjust this, who can cut in with his left foot, who can cut in with the right. So then Dave will take all of those characteristics and then he'll go through his scouting department, his people, and then he'll make a short list of 5 or 6 players that have these characteristics, their strengths, their weaknesses, potential, downfall, shortcomings, etc. And they go through all of that. And essentially, that's where they kind of say, okay, we'll go after this. If we get this, great, awesome. If not, we'll go for this. So, like, that's kind of really how it works. I did forget one step, right? Because Giuntoli will say, Motta, this is the budget I have for this player, and here's your selected roster. So, like, for example, with Allegri, right? with Max, you had Riva, Ben, and Cherubini, where they're like, Max, I only have X amount of dollars. Here's the profiles that we can get that fit your demands. And then again, it's a free Pogba, a free Di Maria, Timmy Weah, etc. Kostic. So that's where like he's kind of like, okay, well, I'll go with something like this or I'll go with something like that. So as the job of the sporting director, it's essentially to find player profiles that work with the system and your budget, and then you have the negotiation or the discussion with your manager to say, okay, this is who we should pursue, this is who we shouldn't pursue. So like, for example, like, okay, like for example, you can't get Calafiori, but we can get you Coop Myers because I don't want to overspend for Calafiori. I think the financial payback and what we're going after doesn't make sense. Whereas with Coop Myers, I think it makes sense. Are you okay with this idea? Moto will probably say, sure, that's fine with me. That makes sense. That's kind of like some of the background discussions. Like, for example, Dave's like, hey, I want to sign. I think we have the budget to sign Ronaldo. Do you think you can fit him in your scheme? If so, great. I'll pursue it. If not, we'll move on to another player on the short list. That's generally how those communications work.
It's not too different if you play like Football Manager or even FC. If you actually like go through all the scouting reports and do it like in the most simulated way possible, right? Like you get your scouts out to look at certain profiles, and they come back. It's like, hey, boss, these are the profiles you look for, and that's with that price range that you were looking for as well. It's same idea, obviously, just more real life. More better. The people are doing this as a job, but just as like a taste, if you've done that in the video games, it's essentially the same thing. I mean, I guess that's why they made it that way, right? Because otherwise we'd be playing like Lord of the Rings or something ridiculous if we wanted like fantasy nonsense. Speaking of which, when are we playing clubs, boys? Come on.
I haven't even gotten the game yet.
Frankie's not even here.
I do feel like FA. What is that? FC? What is it? 25 or 26 now?
25. It's still 2024 right now. So
I've lost track.
You're just stuck in the hurricanes, man.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about. That's what I was watching right now. Actually, was the trajectory. Hopefully, it would go more south. That's what I was hoping for, but we'll see.
Yeah, you like it once it goes south, don't you?
Of course, but also, yeah, you don't want storm surges.
You don't want it to get too moist.
Yeah,
exactly. The storm surges. I love it. That's good. Oh boy, Dash, can you bring us back to reality?
Who? No,
no, she's gone.
No, Vlad wants to give you a pitch for a backup striker. I pitch you a solution for a backup striker. Isaac Success knows the league.
It's amazing last name for a striker.
I know, so successful.
Yeah, he played for Udinese.
Cheap 29, short 2-year contract would be a bad idea. Wouldn't be a bad idea, or would be a bad idea? English, Vlad. English.
I guess we're looking up transfer market in here, right?
All right, guys, I got to get going. This Phillies game is getting very intense right now. So,
all right, well,
next match, I'll try to call in the last match afterwards. Well, I'll be over. So take care. Guys.
Nobody wants to lose to the Mets. Good luck.
We already. My weekend was already ruined yesterday with that game. So, and then with Juve, so it'll be a total loss weekend if we wind up losing this game. We were down 3-0, and then we came back 3-3, and now we're down 4-3 in the 8th. So hopefully we can pull this off.
If it makes you feel any better, you can watch Spalletti's Italy team midweek.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
So Juve players get hurt during this international break.
Did he still drop Locatelli?
Yes, he did.
It's fine.
It's gone. All right, ciao, guys.
Later.
All right, take care. Thanks for joining. All right, so here's success. 2.5 million free agent. Current rumors. Maccabi Haifa, if you remember that team from a couple years back.
Of course.
Like I know he was a decent striker for a team like Udinese. I guess if he's a free, he would be cheap. You just toss him in.
How Jeff feels about Brazilians? How Brazilian midfielders I feel about Nigerian strikers, man.
Okay. All right. Well, sure. We don't like Nigerian.
I can't. Man.
I mean, I didn't want Argentinian wingers, but we still got one.
Yeah, right. And how's that working out so far? We said hurt twice already. 2 muscle injuries.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time on the ground like a good
I can't
Argentinian.
deal with it.
Does anybody know when we'll be able to buy Club World Cup tickets? No, I
No,
have
they
no
haven't
idea.
announced anything.
No.
Nothing's been announced yet.
They hold that close to the chest, and all of a sudden, for the World Cup, it's pissing me off. They'll be like, "Oh, you can enter for a chance to purchase World Cup tickets if you just buy these playing cards." I'm like, I'm a grown ass man. I'm not buying playing cards. Who do you think I am? Just sell me a goddamn ticket.
God.
This is FIFA though, right? Like you want FIFA to make things plain and simple and understandable to the common man. No, go fuck yourself. That's not happening. Buy goddamn playing cards for the chance to give them $1,000 to go to a city you probably not even the one that you can want. Like I want to go to Toronto. They're gonna send me to fucking LA or some shit.
I'm trying to understand something for the Club World Cup. So the places in Florida, I think it's Miami and Orlando.
Yeah.
And they have 2 stadiums in Orlando, and one of them is Camping World. And I've always thought that stadium sucked. They could have literally put one of the stadiums, instead of having 2 stadiums in Orlando, they could have had one in Orlando, one in Tampa.
Yeah, but Taylor Swift was playing at the other one, so they had to rebook. I'm just making that shit up. I'm sure it was something to do with scheduling, something ridiculous.
I mean, it's the Bucs Stadium, and I mean the game is going to be played where? Like it's going to be in June, July. So obviously NFL season doesn't start till September. So obviously they have plenty of time until then. So I was like, I didn't get that. Plus, like the Raymond James Stadium is a lot better than Camping World in Orlando. It's a joke. I don't understand that. But yeah, that was my only thing with the Club World Cup.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Once they come out, we'll report it. We'll put it in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to remember, we didn't technically, we spent $50 million, but we kind of didn't spend 50 on Douglas Luiz. I think it was 28 was the actual like hard number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I still got my transfer market up.
Because it's just
I
like.
think that.
Go ahead. Zach.
I think the way they structured it was because it had to show as a full sale for the 58 million in order for Aston Villa to not get penalized for FFP. But technically, half of that money was, or close to half of that money, was due to the sale of Illing and Barrenechea.
Yeah,
so it was more accounting, sort of.
Yeah. So it's you spent technically 28 on them, because it's just like, with all due respect, how's Barrenechea and Illing doing?
Oh, I mean, we got more than we probably deserved in hindsight now out of those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, we gotta also, as much as I trash the Brazilian midfielders, like I still think give it time for Dougie. Well, my bad. Sorry about that. But yeah.
But that is sort of the idea there with Dougie, and we were all here for it when it happened, that we got to offload 2 of our guys. It was one of those situations that maybe wasn't the most ideal move for anybody, but because of Aston Villa's accounting issue and our need to pick up a midfielder, a prolific one, which he technically is, we were celebrating that deal because we got Dougie for, what did he say? It was about 25. Like all said and done, like, we paid the 52 up front to balance their books, but we were getting, how much was it back?
Yeah, I think between the 2 of them, it was around mid-20s.
So not horrible. If you're looking at less than 30 million for a profile like Douglas Luiz, that's not bad. Remember, we paid the 35 for Locatelli, and it's taken him 3 seasons to get good.
I thought it was even more than that. I thought it was like 40.
40, yeah, it was closer to 40. Yeah, with the
Sassuolo was always everybody we wanted from them. 40 million.
Yeah, like what's like what? Who was that striker? The winger, Berardi. Was that
Berardi?
Yeah, they wanted like 40 or 50 for him. Remember that? Now what does he do? How much does he do?
Yeah,
okay, transfer market. Let's go. How much is Berardi worth? I'm sure it's plummeted.
Oh yeah, probably.
How do I spell this?
Even then, thank God we never did. Berardi, I believe.
What? Only one R? Okay.
Yeah.
He's down to 10 mil now. Yeah. See up here. That's what we're looking.
Yeah.
And then drops. So, I mean,
we're going to have to do something. we're gonna have to do something in the winter. I just don't. The squad is. It's just razor thin, except pretty much in midfield, right? So it's like we're thin on wingers, we're thin on striker, and we're one muscle injury away from being. I'm starting to get concerned about the defense. So.
I didn't think, a lot of people were saying also, I'm glad you brought the winger position out of there, because like a lot of people were like bragging about how we didn't need Jadon Sancho. And I'm like, I don't know about that, bro. Like, again, yes, the players that we have are good, but at the same time, we're going to play a lot more games. We are going to need a lot more players. Again, the whole thing about this mercado was like there was a lot of revamp, a lot of rejuvenation, but at the same time, a lot of the deals that we did was also we sacrificed a lot of players to get solid players as well in advance. So because of that, because we got Coop Miners or like a Douglas Luiz, we had to lose a couple more players and then thinning out the squad roster as a result.
Yeah, there was a lot of balancing in terms of salaries, player profiles. It wasn't perfect. We didn't have money. We had to work within a very finite budget, which, again, when we look back and we were covering it, if you guys remembered, we praised Gentoli for what he was capable of pulling off. So, could have things been better here, better there? Sure. Did we know Dougie was going to completely shit the bed? Did we know that we're going to get these injuries? Did we know that Dusan can only play no more than 3 games straight without making the most embarrassing shot of his life?
I think half of those, yes. At least half of them.
At least
half. Like, at least with the injury thing, like, if you're talking about injury, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is injury prone and who isn't. The thing is that you have to keep in mind any player can get injured. It could happen to anybody. So it's always better to have a contingency plan.
And we knew Dusan. That was the other part of the 50%, right? We knew Dusan was
Dusan, and I was the one that called with the Douglas Luiz. I said I'm very skeptical, but that was me. That was an educated, lucky guess.
I think the one thing I'm a little bit concerned with is that we never brought in someone that could challenge Yildiz for the left wing.
It's Bangula.
No. No,
clearly not. No, it's
and
not.
that's where, like, for example, I don't like Jadon Sancho, folks, where it's just like if Jadon's there, he's challenging Yildiz for it.
Easy. No, he's a good player. I'm not gonna sit here and like argue with people and say that he's a bad player. No, he's a good player. I would have loved to have him, but that's a salary problem. And then Kostic and Arthur screwed us over with that whole deal. So you have to.
They took too long.
They took unimaginably long. And like the thing is sometimes like every transfer market is not going to be perfect. So in the winter mercado and the next summer mercado, we got to go full throttle. That's it. Just keep going. The show's not done.
I find this interesting though, because we're already yearning for a transfer market to start fixing some of these holes. And do you remember how tiring it was in the summer, this whole transfer market saga? So I think it's one of these, like, let's be careful what we wish for, because we have some issues, but at the same time, I think we do have to rely on the stat. Like, yes, I joke the challenger for Yildiz on the left wing is Bangula, but that's who we got. And it's only October, guys. Like, it's what we got. We got to deal with this.
Honestly, though, like, on the positive note, like, if you can think about it, like, if Bangula starts to constantly improve, I'm not asking him to be world class, but if he can improve enough that we could get some transfer value for him, that can also be a great thing. Kind of like what we did with Sule. Keep that in mind. I do think he's got some poise and some promise. I don't think he's a bad player. He's got some technical abilities. He could do some things good. I don't see him as like, I don't want to glaze him up to be like the next great thing or like anything huge, but at the same time, he can be a guy that can have a very positive, beneficial transfer value.
Yeah, and we're not underestimating Bangula. He could pop off, but like Sule, it's a profile like that. Good profile, can be very successful, still very raw and undercooked. And if we're at a situation where we want to win, and you can get 20 million for a Bangula and roll that back into a more prolific striker that will help you compete and win right now, then that's still a win.
I would say even 40. I could say he's capable for 40 and 50.
Sure, but at this point,
yeah,
like,
at this point, yes,
yeah. So of course, yeah, if you can continue, 40 might be a little bit much, but if you can do again like a Sule deal, get around 30, sell him off to Roma.
I could see him. I can see 40 for this guy. He's got it. He's got the talent, but it's going to take time. Like he's still underdeveloped. That's okay.
But the time to get him to 40 at that point, we may as well just keep him, right? Like the time it's going to be a couple years down the road. At that point, he should be developed enough. Like we need to solve the problems now, right? So that's sort of the situation. Do you sell him off prematurely for less money, or do you just you buckle in? Is this kid it? Because we're doing that with Yildiz, clearly.
I mean, as long as the replacement is better, then yes. If it's not worth it, then you keep him and develop. That's it. That's what's simple.
I think the formula for the next gen is, at least for the ones that we really like, they'll be like a Yildiz, right? The ones with a very high threshold. For these other guys, I think the formula, it seems to be, is like the sweet spots, like that 20 to 25 mil range, because that's all profit, right? So you could churn out 1 to 2 of those guys every 1 to 2 seasons. That's a very nice reinforcement for your transfer market. Mm-hmm. And then you're hoping on top of that, back in Champions League consistently, trying to get in knockouts, and then that's how you sort of get that sustainable that you keep hearing about.
And yeah, I think in the Champions, we could do it. I think we are capable of at least making it to the top 8. I think we have top 8 potential.
We could, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I see this team to do it, but we need to have like a solid winter mercado. Like we don't need to have anything insane, just something to keep us afloat. That would be my thing.
Well, that is what January is for.
COD's still a thing. I didn't realize Sancho's still playing the old Call of Duty.
Yeah, I'm not
to be honest with you, I mean, Sancho left United last season, made it to the finals with Dortmund. Ten Hag, where's he at now? About to lose his job.
Not yet, unfortunately.
Go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I was happy. I mean, if Man U can draw Aston Villa, then I like our chances in Champions League. So I was actually happy to see that.
Oh, we definitely can. You see these big teams this past week dropping points every, any given Sunday. You never know. Like today, any given Sunday, and we completely shot the bed when we should not have. Wednesday, we should have lost, but we didn't.
Brother, Real Madrid lost.
Well, exactly. Yeah, we can definitely take this with all our problems.
And Bayern, Bayern as well.
Aston Villa.
And Bayern, they tied this weekend, didn't they?
No, I mean Champions League.
They lost and tied.
Yeah, lost and tied this week. Yeah.
I wanted to ask because I think I was asking. I didn't hear it properly. But what was your guys' take on the red card on Conceição?
It's not a red card. It's a second yellow.
Oh, second yellow. Was it a yellow? That's what I was.
No.
I didn't think so either. I was very questionable. I thought he tripped. Like, it wasn't a penalty. I saw him as he got tripped because he was going too fast, but I didn't think he was deliberately trying to
it wasn't simulation.
It wasn't a simulation. No, I didn't see it as a simulation. That was
think about it like this. Who's another player of a higher profile that has a similar stature to Conceição?
Messi, yeah.
And what would Messi have been called for simulation?
No.
In fact, would he have gotten the fucking PK?
Probably.
No, that was not a PK though.
But if it was Messi, it would have been. That's what
they could
have.
You can call that as a penalty. Not saying that it was, but there is referees out there, depending on the team as well. Because I saw some comparisons, which
that's what I'm saying. Like you have to take into account.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to take into account the stature of the play. I'm just saying you have to take into account the stature. I'm talking physical of the player, of the defender, of the movement of the offensive player, of the leverage that the defender has on the offensive player. You have to take all of that into account. Simulation has to be like a no doubt about it, like clear, like what the fuck are you doing? That was not this case.
Like usually your arms flailing around immediately, like looking at the ref, and like, my knee, that kind of nonsense. And that
you showed it earlier. Like the guy legit, after he hit the floor, it did like a couple of rotations due to his momentum. That is not simulation.
But at the end of the day, you can still, if you felt like it, call him for simulation for overreacting to what was still a foul, technically speaking. There was contact and he beat his man and it was in the box. You can still call it against both players technically, but it was clear and obvious that the ref had a target, and he had a target on Chico the whole match. The amount of crap that guy was taking with no calls, he finally reacted, slide tackle. And I think that's really what happens. After that slide tackle and when he got the initial yellow, the ref, because he's an egotistical piece of shit Italian ref, he got all butthurt about it, and now he had Chico's number, essentially. I think that's what happened. I know I'm stretching, I'm making a lot of presumptions here, but I've seen enough from Italian referees that I'm pretty sure that their personalities are so weak and full of shit that that's exactly the kind of character that they would.
That's every referee, though.
The funny part is the line judge was closer to the play than the ref, and the line judge didn't call anything. Yeah. In fact, Conceição was trying to plead with the line judge, like, dude, can you tell your fucking homie, I wasn't simulating.
I'm going to say this a million times. The league is not with us. Get over the fact. If they're going to find any justification, any excuse, even if it's bullshit, they will take it. They will.
I'm starting to yell about it.
It's the same thing with Leipzig. It's the same thing with Italy. We have to overperform in order to win. We cannot have any game anywhere else. No 1-0s. It has to be 2-0s. It has to be we overperform and we overproduce. It sucks, but that is how it is.
Well, that's how that's what it takes to be a champion.
Yeah, and you have to be smart. You have to be very smart. So Conceição getting frustrated and getting booked for that first yellow, he's gonna have to learn. You can't give that shit away.
Because they will find anything. Like, that's the thing. It's like, even if it's like a half-ass, like if it's a 50-50, if it's something debatable call, just think of it in the top of your head. It's gonna be called. Like, even if it's bullshit, if it's 20% chance that it will be called, it will be called. That's it. Get it done. Like, they're not with us. They're trying to hold us back as much as possible. You saw it in the Coppa Italia. As much as, like, people were trolling on Allegri going crazy. It's gonna happen. Like
that one Yildiz had his nuts stomped. So it's like, I don't understand. Like,
it was all boss. Now what are you talking about?
As much as this call was bullshit, I still think this referee did a lot better than the one in the Champions League.
Okay, but I hate that argument too, because, like, okay, let's just lower our standards because this one was less shit than the last one. No, they were both shit. One was way more shit. It's still not cool.
But, like, how? Okay, the question is, how would you tackle it? Do you put a lawsuit? What would you do? And that's the thing.
You need better governance. You
kick him in the dick.
The problem is that the mafia is running the thing.
Isn't that Collini's rule now, though, too?
That is how Italy has been. That's the thing. How do you
fix that?
How do you fix that? Because, like, I
had an American to run the sport.
I was at a party on Saturday for a buddy's birthday party, and there was this guy, like, telling me, like, oh yeah, you guys were cheated on Calciopoli. I'm like, how do you know that? Did you read the full thing? Because the guy that prosecuted the case was also one of the stakeholders or one of the presidents for Inter. And people don't ever bring that up. I'm like, just be very careful, because Juve is the type of club you either love or hate, and it's not a very easy thing. And I've said it before.
This is what dictators do. And the FIGC, UEFA, whatever, they're all they're anti-Juve. Yeah, they're all like the mafia bosses. They're dictators. What do dictators do? They keep their people stupid so they don't know any better. And unfortunately, the majority of Serie A people are fucking idiots because they still don't see what the actual truth is, and they accept the bullshit. It's no different than feeding off doom scrolling Twitter feeds.
You know what it is?
It's the same garbage, and these people think like garbage.
Well, the thing is, too, though, with Italy, specifically with Italy, you have a Juventus that you either hate or love. So the people that hate Juve will find any justification, and I mean absolutely any justification to shit on them, even if hypothetically their own clubs would do the same type of dirt, right? Even if they were to be doing that type of like crime or that type of offense, they would let it slide, or a slap on the wrist, vice versa. But with Juve, they would do the extra punishment because they just do not want Juve to win any more trophies. The less trophies they win per year, the better it is for Inter, Milan, or Fiorentina that delusionally thinks that we're a rival to them.
And that's the loser mentality. And while Ken is saying relying on refs to make the right calls is loser mentality, we need to be undeniable and win. And yes, we said that. I think it was Jeff that had just mentioned it the most recently here in our discussion. No, you can't give them the excuse to give a call against us here. But at the same time, it's a loser mentality to accept piss poor refereeing because it distills the league into utter bullshit. And that is the reason why we can't host tournaments anymore, because of our own bureaucracy, because we're fucking ourselves in the ass.
Well, again, if you remember a few months ago, I was talking with German Dave. I said the problem with Italy is we're very antagonistic towards each other. The Italian FA is very antagonistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing. We pit each other against each other. You see England, you're going to see that Man City does all these like financial crimes, or they're most likely going to get a slap on the wrist. The same thing with Real Madrid and La Liga. Like Real Madrid and Barcelona could do a lot of heinous things, but the league is going to see them as assets. These two teams are the teams that bring revenue to the league. The same thing with the EPL. You know, they see Man City, they see Manchester United, Liverpool, and Tottenham, and they see them as assets. They see them as teams that are going to generate revenue for the league. Italy doesn't see that. Italy is just
they want to make money for themselves,
going up against each other.
And that's what I'm saying. The solution, literally, get somebody that's from America that's running a league in America, like the NFL or the NBA or something. Like
for Juve, needs to do, they need to collect as many receipts. They have to be vigilant. Like the club has to be insanely vigilant, collect any receipts, document them, and then when the time is right, prosecute the Italian FIGC for any of the misdoings and incompetence they've done.
And honestly, does this not just go back to the whole Super League fiasco? Why Juve, amongst others, were one of the teams that wanted to create the Super League so they can actually move away from this bullshit and put in a system that would hopefully self-police itself a lot more objectively than clearly whatever the hell this monstrosity is that we have right now.
Yeah, but we were the only ones punished for it. So I don't see Real and Barcelona, facing any UEFA repercussions because they're protected by very powerful people, which is frustrating for me because our owner is a very influential and powerful person. Yet here we are.
The difference with Real Madrid or Barcelona may be by default, but I do think Real Madrid has a lot more protection. I think they're a bigger asset in Spain as a club. They're also
probably to world football,
the Spanish government, whereas like Juventus is not protected by Italy. Again, it's a very polarizing club.
And LJJ actually makes a good point here. I think it's more political in the country where politicians get involved in business, tells me everything about it. But that's everywhere in Europe, right? And that's, again, why I'm saying, like, do you see politicians meddling in the NBA or the NFL or any of those leagues? Like, you never see that. And if it did, wasn't it? I think there was something.
Well, I mean, Premier League was probably the most egregious with that, LJJ. Mm-hmm. I mean, they hijacked Chelsea.
Well, they actually have
club away from.
They actually have a minister of football.
Do you want to know though the thing about the way that the NFL and the NBA is run is just run as a pure business. also the teams, the franchises that they have, they don't have as much there doesn't have as much identity to like the towns and the teams, like the surroundings around it, as much as in Italy, like Juventus representing Torino for 100 years, or to say Inter, or to say Manchester United, you know, the vice versa, the Real Madrid. There's a lot of historical significance, or more historical significance to the people of that city. Whereas in the NFL, a lot of the franchises move from city to city at times. Like the Rams, for example, were once in St. Louis. They went to Los Angeles. So there's not as much passion to say. And then, you know, there's also like every team that's being created. For example, every club that's being created like a century ago also has like a political statement. It's a lot more, the football is a lot more politicized, not American football, but like European football. There's a lot of political history to it.
Yeah.
There's still teams that are super old, like anything from New York, typically. Like I know, well, just because I know
Lions.
They don't have that political significance as much as like a Real Madrid.
No, they don't. But that's what I'm saying. Like you can still have that culture, that old school culture with the American style of sports. It's just
the commissioners are cunts. That's the only difference.
Sure, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's 100% not perfect, but you're taking the old politician completely out of the mix, because if you want to be successful, run it as a business. Don't get an Italian politician to do it. He's gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, no franchises essentially run any of the 4 leagues in the US. Like there isn't, like, for example, this rule is because of the Yankees, or this kind of thing is because of the Yankees, or something like that. But by the way, F the Yankees. But
hey, ho, yo.
Another black and white stripe team.
Don't worry, I don't have any like remorse for baseball. I don't care for baseball. You couldn't pay me money to watch it.
I can't be associated with this kind of talk. Tell me beforehand.
Wait, you're not a Dodgers fan? I figure you'd be a Dodgers fan.
No, I was born and raised in Jersey. First 30 years of my life.
I'm just, hey man, I gotta go for the gritty Tigs right now. I just need the Tigers. That's why I'm just saying F the Yankees.
You got to worry about the Indians. Don't worry about the Yankees yet.
Hey man, Scooble will win tomorrow.
I'll tell you right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Guardians. The Guardians.
I was wondering, right? Like Indians play cricket anyways.
How do you guys watch this? How do you guys watch baseball? I'm sorry. How do you do it?
I played the sport.
How?
I don't know.
Growing up in the North. Look, if I was from Florida, I wouldn't want to watch baseball either. I'm just saying, if you're growing up in like the Northeast or the Midwest, like that's a talk about culture. That's a part of your culture.
Yeah, it's a part of your child. Like, you know how easy it was to get like 4 or 5
I can't just watch any baseball game. I have to watch my team, otherwise I can't. It's hard.
Oh yeah. Even that, like I can only.
You couldn't pay me money, bro. Like you couldn't pay me any money. I'll play it, whatever, sure, but I'm not like, like no, you can't do it. It's too boring.
They made it a lot more faster than it used to be.
It's like 2.5 hours now with the pitch clock.
Yeah, it's a lot faster now.
No.
We don't hate any sports here, though, Jeff. We try to accept all sports. We don't accept all sporting referees, but we accept the sport.
No, it's kind of ironic because it was easier for, like, for example, where I live, it was easier to get, like, 6 or 7 guys to go to a sandlot and play wiffle ball than it was to get like 10 people to play footy.
Yep.
Like
you have to do like 3-on-3s, right? You're doing like 3 sides. It's pretty tough.
Because it was a pain in the ass. It still is a pain in the ass here. The only reason why I have it organized decently well here is like I got a group chat with like 50 people where I'm like, yo, which one of you goobers want to get served today at the park? And then that's how we're able to do it. But
here's the great thing with baseball, any versions of baseball, softball, slow pitch, whatever it may be, is that you don't actually need to be good at sports to actually get people to play. Like you can just be fat and drunk.
That's softball.
No, it is, but you can still get
no. Even I don't know if you guys remember. You might, Dash. I don't know, Dave, how much you follow baseball. Remember John Kruk?
Yes.
He used to play. He was a first baseman for the Phillies, and unfortunately back then the NL didn't have a DH, so he had to play the field. But he was a great hitter. And one lady one time was just like looking at him, and he's just, dude was very, very thick. Okay.
Miguel
and she would
Cabrera.
just say like, and she would say to him, she's like, aren't you like ashamed of trying to be an athlete and looking the way you do? She's like, He's like, lady, I'm not an athlete. I'm a ball player. That is basically that's a Kirby putt. Like there's a bunch of guys like that. If you can hit, there's a spot for you. You know what I mean? Hitting's it's a tough sport. It's the only one where if you succeed 30% of the time, you're an all-star.
Well, I mean, it's like what is it? Like this will bring back bad memories for you, but the ALCS 2012 ALCS, the Tigers, Prince Fielder, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, 3 of the fattest guys I've ever seen in my life, and only one of them could play DH.
Could all mash. Could all mash.
Yeah, 350, 400.
Yep.
Styles asking if we've ever played cricket. I have not. I don't even understand.
I want to play
I'm
cricket
interested.
so bad.
Yeah, maybe you have to come on and do a cricket show with us.
I will only watch. I guess I'm ADHD, so I would only watch something that's like a fast-paced sport. That's for me.
So get to hockey, Tampa.
Hockey's. I can tolerate hockey. Yeah. Hockey's tolerable.
Yeah, but
I can watch basketball. I can tolerate American football. I can watch American football.
I can't. Ironically, I can't tolerate basketball anymore.
Oh, it's bad to watch like the NBA, like basketball.
The regular season's atrocious.
Yeah, the NBA.
They don't play defense. I can't.
They've gone so soft though. Like there's no physical contact at all.
Like
all the stoppages.
NFL's sort of like that too.
Like it's kind of terrible. Where I thought the Olympics was more entertaining than the NBA playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because they actually that's why so many of these like Eastern European guys. They can transition well because they actually still play defense in Europe. So they actually bring value to the league.
I'll tell you this, though. The former Yugoslavian countries, the former Slavic countries, like they can produce some players, hands down. Like Croats, Serbians, whatever you want to call it, like there are some beasts. Like former Yugoslavia, like prior to the breakup, they had an amazing basketball team. They were in contention with US at one point, back in the day, obviously. But yeah, no, I don't watch it that much, though. I'm not a basketball guy either. But
I like late 80s. Like everybody hated the Pistons. I loved watching them. I loved watching them play. They were dirty. They played defense. You went to the hole. You were going to have to suffer to score.
You know, it was impressive.
For me, that was great.
The Pistons did beat the Lakers 20 years ago, back when we had what was like Ben Wallace, if I do remember that. That was impressive.
Yeah, blue collar going to work Pistons.
Yeah.
Like if you could get 60 on them, it would be a miracle.
Oh yeah. And there was hard fouls. Like I loved it. Now it's like every game's 120 to 135. It's like,
thanks, LeBron.
On, man. Yeah, bro. I can't deal with it. I can't it was funny. Did you guys see that clip of Luis Enrique giving Mbappe the business, telling him you'll never be the greatest until you learn how to play defense? Like you say you idolize Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was an amazing defensive player.
Yeah.
Right? That was part of what made him great. It wasn't just the dunks. It wasn't the clutch shots.
With Mbappe, you know what I think he needs is a rival, a legit rival. I feel like that's another thing with CR7, why I felt like he plays so well. Like having Messi as your rival, them two going up against each other, pitting one each other against. I feel like they played so well. Like they produced so many records because of the rivalry as well.
Did we lose Sal again? He's had a couple issues with his video tonight. Well, I think we're just letting out a lot of anxiety tonight. I think that's really what this was all about at the end of the day, is just yelling at a couple things and hopefully feel better about ourselves at the end of it.
I will feel better after 8:00. Hopefully, if the hurricane goes down south.
Oh yes, still watching that. That's you got to move to I don't know, Arkansas or something. Say from
thanks.
Tornadoes. That's worse.
No, I'd rather go handle the north. I'd rather go up north and northeast.
Yeah, come to Canada, man.
You know what? I might. You know what? Are you guys nicer than Floridians?
Oh, they're great. They're great folks. Oh, they're great ones, minus the fentanyl.
Well, what's the difference with Florida then? It's nothing but fentanyl.
It's just colder.
Yeah,
that means they die. They die quicker though.
You can't kill Florida, man.
No, the fentanyl users Canada. They don't make it through the winter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's another thing. We probably wouldn't survive in the winter. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You don't know that you're cold because you're on fentanyl. You just slowly freeze to death. Or don't wake up in a dumpster somewhere.
No, thanks. I don't do that. That's no thanks. I'll stick to my drinking when I can.
Jeff's not a panhandle guy, all right? He's a city boy.
We're central, man.
City boy.
Florida. We're West Coast, Central Florida. That's it. Fun fact though, we're in a county. I'm in a county that's like one of the most densely populated areas in the U.S. I don't know if it's the most densely populated, but it's one of the most. We're very densely populated. That's what's scary about this hurricane. And we've never been hit. We never had a direct hit in over 100 years. That's why I'm terrified about this.
Hopefully it works out for you. Keep us up to date.
I think we'll be fine. I have a feeling it might go south, though. I have a feeling, but we'll see. And if the hurricane doesn't like move fast enough and have the cold front go down, that would probably make the intensification less likely. So it won't intensify as bad and hopefully have a category 2. If it's a category 2 or under, we're good.
I'm getting a green screen and you're doing the weather reports.
Fair enough.
If we don't get memes from Jeff, that's how we know to start worrying. If the memes stop coming, we gotta make sure to send out the search party.
I'll be sitting there at work. I'll get a notification. Jeff sent this to the meme hub, and I'm like,
if I say I'm getting out, you got to start worrying, because usually I've handled a lot of tropical storm category 1, category 2 hurricanes, but I won't do category 3 or higher. I saw what Helene did to our county, and it wasn't even a full strength. Like, it wasn't even a fully intensified hurricane. We didn't even get a direct hit, and everything was flooded.
I like how you called it Helene.
They weren't ready for a direct hit.
I like how you called it Helene. Like, you put a little pizzazz onto that name.
Yeah,
the rest of us called it Helen.
No, it was Helene.
Was it Helene?
It's Helene.
Helena. I heard some people say.
Yeah, I don't know. The rest of us called it Helen.
It's Helene. We had that, and then we have I forgot Milton. Yes, it's Hurricane Milton.
Milton, like the guy from Office Space.
Sure, yeah. He's reincarnated, and he's about to unleash hell. That's what it is. There's going to be a lot of surfers down in Florida as well now. They're going to surf through the hurricanes. I've seen that happen. No bullshit. I've seen it happen where people were surfing.
Oh, yeah.
Not me. I'll be right here.
Oh, look. Alina's a beef and lentil dish in Kashmir. There you go.
There you go.
I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand why we get panicked and we empty out our supermarkets. Hurricanes coming. Let's collect food. That's just people. That's human nature. It's just like in the pandemic, people with their toilet paper. For
still a thing now with the dock strikes in the U.S. People are freaking out. Can't buy toilet paper anymore.
Yeah,
I think we're good now. They're getting like $70 an hour. I think we're fine.
Son of a bitch.
At what point do we just get bidets, everyone?
That's why I'm sitting here. I'm like, bro, I should have just got a union job. What the fuck am I doing wrong?
You'll have people thinking it's a water fountain. Imagine the TikTok videos.
There's gonna have to be an education piece to it, like some public radio going on. But I think after a couple generations,
hey yo, is this a mini sink? Oh, am I supposed to sit on it? Oh my word, what's that sprayed in my butthole?
I mean, in Florida, they'd probably just be cooking out of it, but just another vessel to cook some shit up.
You say that's what happens when you take an American, you send them to Europe where there's bidets all over the place. What you mean you don't pee in that? You supposed to sit in it? But that'd be spraying shit in your ass.
Oh, I love going to Europe and cleaning my bumhole out.
Oh, that shit a little bit cold.
Well, no, you warm it up first, man. I can tell you're American. You don't know how to use the bidet. You go in cold.
I don't really have much access to that area, so I don't know how it's supposed to feel, Dave.
No, man, lukewarm. You want to lukewarm.
There's no visitors that go there. That's why.
Are you saying you gotta find the sweet spot, Dave? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's just like washing your hands. You don't go full cold. You don't go full hot. Yeah, you find a sweet spot.
But then again, you're Canadian. Like, you don't know what hot and cold is. Like, you it's like what's cold to me is hot to you.
Anything above 32 degrees Fahrenheit is warm for them.
Yeah.
You just whatever your asshole craves, just give it. Just let it have it.
Fair enough.
Dusan, how do you feel about that, buddy?
What are you doing, bro? Come
Oh
on.
my god!
Oh, man. I don't give a shit. At this point, fuck. Give Dusan a lifetime Juve contract. That motherfucker is the gift that keeps on giving for content.
He's
So
amazing.
Jesus. They're saying they banned bidets in England. What's wrong with these
Probably
guys?
for like water conservation.
I have
an
no
island.
way.
God,
What are you
they've been
trying to
shitting in
conserve
the
water for?
they've been shitting in the Thames for 1,200 years. Now all of a sudden a bidet's bad. My lord, England, you guys certainly are doing everything backwards. All right, well, I think that kind of gets us to the point where we wrap this show up. Like when you wrap your finger full of toilet paper so you don't break through.
Finger?
Yeah, you never hear that? Where like if you have really cheap toilet paper, so you got like wrap it around a few times so it doesn't break through and you get poop on your finger.
Or you could just buy 2-ply.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like in the public spots. You know, you're not always so lucky. And I buy 3-ply, by the way.
Oh,
if I
good
don't
Lord.
fuck around with the
Let's
2-ply.
Public toilets are the fastest way to chlamydia.
That is such a wives' tale. That does not happen. Okay, well, what's he saying?
Happens in high school, just like with everybody else.
No, they want that crusty ass. The English like the marination. Yeah, it sounds like a. Yeah, don't get that. That's saying I don't buy the cheap paper. I'm
Just get construction paper.
Come on, guys.
Cardboard.
I'm not buying. I buy
Socks.
the one with the teddy bear on the front cover.
Vlad, who the fuck uses a single ply in the?
Go to a government building, try to renew your license, and have to take.
That's just
a shit.
Canada. That's just.
That's that. You know what?
You're asking for trouble there.
Dal
Well, you
spends a lot of time in the gym, man. Those bathrooms can be ruthless. So,
Yeah,
be
it happens,
careful.
guys. It happens. Regardless, Dash, I think you have to move us on out of here.
Yep.
Like your deuce, make sure you drop a like and a subscribe. Thanks for dropping off and dropping by. Make sure you like and subscribe for the video.
I knew you could do it.
I can't.
Dropping up and dropping by. I
Oh
love
man. Alrighty. Well, before you blow all over and squirt out, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. And if you want to hear more shitty jokes, no pun intended there, head to our bathroom full of shenanigans on the Discord, where we swirl everything from news transfers, BS and things, and general chat as well. And if you prefer to continue listening to me shitting on Dusan, just watch the video again.
Always remember, this channel is good shit.
Shit. Oh my, the jokes keep on coming, guys. Thanks.
Most
Thank you so much.
Most importantly, we do not use baby oil or lube. No diddy.
No
Thanks
diddy.
for tuning in.